Josh, like you've the first record that you played, recorded, wrote the bass for, played on was the last record. And we lived together and you were just holed up in your bedroom, writing bass parts, and you would emerge from the cave and be like, all right, I got a thing. And it ripped. But we didn't have a producer in the room. It was us making that record ourselves, kind of anything goes. I think we were all unavoidably a little apathetic through that process in terms of like, God, like these songs are heavy. These are gnarly. So in terms of the just the way they feel and the lyrics I was writing. But what is this out? What is this for? Like, what does this album mean? What am I writing all this for? This was your first record where you've been in the studio with us and a producer. Like, what was it like showing up and having to like write on the spot, which we all had to do a lot of this time around, which is kind of new. Not new, just 20 years ago is probably the last time that we were doing things where we would show up day of, write it, record it, and that's what you hear on the record. That's a very new thing. And you had to do a lot of that. So I don't know, what was it like working with a producer with Yellowcard for the first time?
I think initially, probably for all of us, it was a little bit intimidating, right? Because
Yeah.
it's Travis. So it was like, what are we getting into? What's it going to be like? What's the vibe going to be? And I think going back to what you were saying a minute ago, talking about Nick, how it could have been very transactional instead of like someone being super present in the whole process. And I feel like we figured out very quickly that Travis's vibe was just fucking awesome, like super chill. He was present for every single part of every song, you
Yeah.
know, and it didn't feel transactional. It felt like a band member, and it felt like a band member who cared about what was being written and
Yeah.
played. And yeah, and I think the intimidation and the stress of the potential stress of that situation was like almost immediately wiped away, and it just became fun every day.
Mhm.
Knowing that like whatever thing could spontaneously come up, and it could be like just out of nowhere, be like, okay, put a bass part right here.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
here I
wild.
go.
It's a wild thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it
You're
was
up.
like
Let's do it. Let's go,
it was
baby.
very different, but I liked that. I think it kind of kept everyone on their toes, and kept the creative process extra creative.
Yeah. I remember stories of, and not naming names, but back when we were starting out and when a lot of our bands were getting bigger record deals and working with big producers, stories of a producer or producers who would, it was just that the vocals were the only thing that mattered. Does the bass player even show up and play what on the record, or does like someone that's there in the studio just do it and you kind of sign on for that process and whatever? And obviously, we've never made a record like that, but walking into this not knowing how it was going to be with songwriters, with Travis, I mean, I personally like very much recall his dedication and attention to the bass guitar. Like he was like
Mhm.
there with you saying, let's fill this space with something, or that's too much there, or he it's not like he left the room because I wasn't singing at any point. If he left the
Right.
room, it's because he had to. But I think we all agree with the amount of shit going on in that guy's life. I can't even get my head around what that must be like to be running brands and being in a band that is as big as Blink and all. He always came back to the room, and he always was in there to check in and see where we were at and give his thoughts on what was being written or done. So that's cool. It's
It,
cool
it
to hear.
was yeah, it was apparent how present he was, and it made us feel like it was important to him, which made us better. Like
Yeah.
it was
Mhm.
perfect.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go last. Favorite songs.
Well, I'm going to give my real answer, which is I have three that are tied.
I have two. That's okay. You should go. I have
Uh,
two.
and what's cool is they can be tied because they're all couldn't be one different from one another.
Yeah.
Better Days, the song, City of Angels, Big Blue Eyes. Those are my three favorite songs on the record. And now that people can listen to them, I think you'll understand why it's difficult to pick any one of those three because you have like the super aggressive rock song, you have City of Angels, which is pretty unlike anything we've ever done. I guess I could see it fitting on Lift to Sail a little bit, but in a more like kind of upbeat, sort of positive type way. A lot of electronic stuff, and then Big Blue Eyes, like classic Yellow Card acoustic. Sean plays some beautiful mandolin stuff, and just such a resonant tearjerker of a song. And I love all three of those songs so much that those are my three favorites.
All right, Josh, go.
Brought a tear in my eye.
I think whether it's our record or other bands that I listen to, my favorite songs kind of tend to shift over time. You know, every couple months or couple years or whatever. You know, one song isn't my favorite anymore. Something takes that place, and this has certainly happened with our new record. But I think after doing these last couple of tours, I have to say, Better Days is my favorite because just seeing the crowd's reaction, like seeing what radio
Yeah.
is actually doing for that song, where, forever it would be like we would close out with Ocean Avenue and all the phones would come out because that was the one, and to see that happening for Better Days, like the same exact thing, same exact reaction.
Did
It's
you
like,
see the
whoa,
reaction?
that's huge. That is huge. So I think based on that alone, that's my favorite one.
Mr. Mackin.
I think that's pretty amazing because one of my favorite songs off of our album Better Days is Better Days for two reasons. One, because after 27 years, we never had a number one kind of anything. And it's an accolade and it's a highlight but it's just a small nod to what Ryan said is like we took a chance. We did something that was kind of old fashioned and different, and it really was special. And we put, all of our hearts into this song, and it ended up being really special for our band. I think also the way that it lives in the live space, it kind of feels like it's been a Yellow Card song for much longer than we've been playing it. And to echo what Josh said, it just like it feels like part of our show, but like the crowd is engaged in that song. And it's just a really special song. It's on what is kind of shaping up to be a pretty special record for us. My follow-up favorite song is co-favorite is a song called You Broke Me Too. It really has kind of throwback only one vibes for me. Like I really like us in that big rock ballad space, kind of big strings. It kind of like checks all the boxes. One of my favorite moments of recording that song is like I just, Jack Black in School of the Rock. I always am like rim bim 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 bim, like want to do a little bit like bass riff, and I look over at Josh. I'm like, hey Josh, like we got like last day of the studio, you gotta put a bass lick in this part in this chorus outro, and he's like, really? I'm like, you got to do it right here. And he did it. It's like one of my favorite parts on the whole record is like this Josh like ripping kind of bass lick. And then
Quick question for you. Is there anything else interesting going on that song other than like what Josh played or like the string stuff and
like
anything
are
else
you talking,
cool?
are you talking about the guitar arrangement?
No, like anything maybe not guitar related, like any other interesting, cool things happening on that song?
Travis Barker played drums?
Yeah, that's sick. He played on every song, so that's definitely rad. But
Oh, sick.
is there anything else though?
Is that not what you're kind of alluding to? Is it Avril Lavigne? Is that
Bingo. How did
I,
that happen?
and I think you put all of that and then you have, just this legend vocal performance by Avril Lavigne. And I just like it just wraps up so nicely. And there's so many great moments on the record, but I mean, that journey, that story, all of our collective performance on the song, and then Travis and Avril kind of taking it home. Like it's such a great moment for us.
I think my favorite, and it's like, um, I want this to come across not as like a selfish thing, like I wrote it, so it's my favorite. I want it to be
Look at me. Look
understood.
at how good I look.
Yes, I want it to be understood that I walked into this whole process feeling a sense of fear and insecurity that I wasn't going to be able to write anything at all. And we got going. We had done a couple of different sessions. We had, we'd traveled out west and done some songs and then come home and gone back and come home. And one night I was home in Florida and I was in the studio working on something else at the time. I can't remember what it was. It was some small little score piece or something I was working on. And Travis texted me and said, I've had this rattling around in my head, and I don't know if it's like the title of the album or if it's another song we should work on, but I like the alliteration of it, and it's just Love Letters Lost. He's like, what does that do anything for you? And I was like, sick. Let me chew on that and think for a bit. And by the end of the night, I had a demo with rhythm guitars, program drums, all lyrics and melody, everything, an entire song just came out of me, and to the point of being able to record it on the spot. And you know, early in my time in Yellowcard and early in my life as a songwriter, I wrote songs that way. We've always worked um, collectively and collaborated on music. There's never been a song that one person said this is how it's going to go and nothing's going to change, or nothing's going to get added to this song. But there were a lot of songs early in our career where I would come in with a song, like I would have a verse and a chorus and sometimes even the bridge and just play it on an acoustic guitar and say, hey guys, I wrote this song. And then we would turn it into a Yellowcard song. Obviously, we have the ability to demo now in ways we didn't back then. So instead of playing it on an acoustic guitar, I was sort of able to realize it a little more and play it on an electric guitar and make it. But either way, the song not only is a song for me that feels like I mentioned this earlier, but I tapped into the source, dude. I tapped into the place that I used to write songs for Yellowcard from, where where that music and those melodies and those riffs came from. Um, and then I presented it to the three of you guys and Travis, and it went on the album. We all added what we brought to it, but it made it on the record. And I'll get to the obvious thing that you guys are all waiting for me to say in a second, but
Travis played drums.
Travis played drums on that song. No, but for me, it was such a massive boost of confidence and inspiration to feel like, okay, I can still be a part of this in the most authentic and fully invested way possible as a songwriter, and when we started this process, I did not feel that way. So that was a really big breakthrough for me. That's one of the reasons it might be my favorite song on the record. Another reason is I think, Sean, you were the one who said in the studio, this rips, it sounds like Alkaline Trio. And when you said that, Travis turned to us and said, you want me to see if Skiba will sing on it? And that's similar to how the Avril feature went down. But either way, he said, do you want us to, and we were like, well, yes, now.
Like what?
Now we do, of course. And
That
the way that happened too was so rad. We were all home for Christmas time, holidays, New Year. And it was right around Christmas. And within like a 3 or 4 day period, I had gotten a text that said "Merry Christmas" with a Christmas tree emoji and a rough bounce of "You Broke Me Too" with Avril on it. And we sent that around to everyone. Sean, you said your wife punched you when she heard it.
couldn't believe it. She hit
Yeah.
it right in the chest. I was like, oh.
and then a few days later, again, I was up in the studio just doing what I do, either gaming or making wild sounds with my keyboard and dark ominous tones, exactly. And my phone rang with a FaceTime from Travis, and I answered it. And Travis and Matt Skiba were sitting on the couch together in his studio, and Matt just said, "Hey Ryan, what's up, man? I hadn't talked to him in a long time," and he's like, "Great to see you, and I'm so stoked to be a part of this." And he said, "But really, what I want to say to you is, fuck you. I want this song for my band." And I mean, dude, with all the things that are happening for us, to have someone that has shaped me as a songwriter for 20 years say something like that made this song just even more special. And now you guys that are watching this all get to listen to this song where you get to the second verse and you just hear Matt Skiba, and it's just Alkaline Trio vibes in all of its glory. It's just so rad. So yeah, that's my favorite song, and that's why.